This is the second of two videos that address considerations when adding photos or images to your Canvas pages. In the first video, I talked about screen resolution and explained why the maximum photo width you can use in Canvas is about 760 pixels if you assume a 1280 by 800 computer resolution, or about 930 pixels for an assumed computer resolution of 1440 by 900. In this movie, I'm going to show you how to size and crop your photos. What if your photo is wider than 760 pixels? As we saw with the first 20-second download example, Canvas will try to scrunch it down to make it fit the available space. In this case, with the original photo, two things come into play. First, Canvas has to compress the photo to less than 25% of the photo's size, 3,264 pixels down to 760 pixels. You can see this when the photo is reloaded and Canvas initially starts to render the full size of the photo before it's compressed. Secondly, all 3.4 megabytes of the original photo have to be downloaded to your computer. This is why we had to wait 20 seconds for the image to load. But if the image had been sized appropriately to a maximum width of 760 pixels, and if the overall quality had been reduced to a medium resolution, only 60 kilobytes would be downloaded, less than 2% of the original photo size. Do you see enough of a difference between these two to wait for an additional 20 seconds? So let's talk about sizing photos. I'm going to use Photoshop here, and I realize that not everyone has access to Photoshop. But the sizing and cropping processes are similar in other programs, such as Photoshop Elements, a consumer-oriented version of Photoshop that costs about $70, iPhoto, which is free if you have a Mac, the free and open source GIMP or GNU image manipulation program, or Picasa that you can download from Google. So here's the original photo as it came off of my camera. You can see the scale here in pixels, 3,264 pixels wide and 2,448 pixels high. Notice that the image you see is reduced to only 33% of the original's full size. If I enlarge it to full size, you can see that my 24-inch monitor at 1920 pixels wide isn't large enough to display the full-size photo. The reason we're using a photo editing application like Photoshop is to reduce the size of the photo to make it more Canvas friendly. Recall from the previous video that I suggested a maximum width of 760 pixels for photos. So what we need to do here is reduce our original photo from over 3,000 pixels wide to just 760. In Photoshop, this is very easy. I'll just click on Image from the top menu, then select Image Size. We see the information here for the original photo's width and height. Because I have these items checked, all I have to do is change the width to 760 and the height is automatically calculated to maintain the same proportion or aspect ratio. Now let me enlarge to 100% and you can see that our photo is 760 pixels wide and 570 pixels high. If we just save the photo as is, you can see that the overall file size has gone from 3.4 megabytes for the original to just 438 kilobytes. That's maintaining the same photo resolution or density of the pixels. But if we reduce the resolution density, we can reduce the file size even more. Photoshop has a built-in function to save for web and devices. If we use that and then select the medium quality, our file size has been further reduced to just 60 kilobytes. This is the size of photo that took less than a second to download on our Canvas page. And that's how and why you want to resize your photos before you upload them to Canvas. 1, to properly fit this Canvas screen, and 2, to minimize the download time. While we're in Photoshop, I want to explain cropping. To crop is to use only part of a photo or image. In our example photo, let's crop it to emphasize the rock formation that resembles a face. I'll just select the Photoshop crop tool, drag the area I want to keep, then crop. This is fine, but it's a little small, only about 300 pixels wide. It's small because I did the cropping after I downsized the original. To make a more dramatic crop, I need to go back and use the original full-size photo. Now after I make a similar crop, the resulting photo is over 2,000 pixels wide and you can see a lot more detail. So now I'm going to resize this back down to 760 pixels wide, and then it'll be ready to upload into Canvas. So in these two videos, we've covered how screen resolution affects what users see on the Canvas screen. The maximum width for photos or images used on a Canvas page is a function of the assumed screen resolution for your students. If you assume a 1280 by 800 screen, photos should be no more than 760 pixels wide. For a 1440 by 900 screen resolution, the maximum photo width should be about 930 pixels. With the photo editing program, it's easy to resize photos to fit the available Canvas page and to minimize download times. With the photo editing program, it's also easy to crop photos to highlight specific features or areas. When you crop, work from the original full-size photo in order to get the greatest visible details. That's a quick summary of what you need to do to photos and images before you upload them to Canvas. To actually insert a photo, you just need to position your cursor where you want to insert the photo, select the Images tab in the right sidebar, click Upload a new image, click Browse to find the photo file on your computer or storage device, click Upload. And that's how to upload a photo to Canvas after you've prepared it by appropriately sizing and cropping it. To summarize, before you upload photos or images to Canvas, you need to prepare them using a photo editing program that can crop and size photos. First, crop the image so that the focus or primary content of the image is highlighted or most clearly visible. Second, size the image appropriately for the space available on the page. For a Canvas page, the maximum width is about 760 to 930 pixels depending on the user's screen size you're assuming. And I didn't mention vertical height, but in Canvas, assuming you want to position the entire photo on one screen without scrolling, the maximum height should be about 660 to 805 pixels. When you've completed cropping and sizing the photo, you want to make sure you save it at a reduced resolution. You don't need photo print quality images when they're only going to be displayed on a computer screen. And be careful to save your edited files with different names so that you always leave your original photo file unchanged. Then to add the image to your Canvas page, you just need to position the cursor where you want the image to appear, select the Images tab in the right sidebar, click Upload a new image, click Browse to open the File Finder window and select the image you want to use, then click Upload. There are more considerations for effectively using images in Canvas, but I hope these two videos will get you started with adding photos and images to enhance your students' learning experiences in your Canvas courses.